Welcome everyone to the Inland Sports Show. Before we start the show, make sure you like this video and you've subscribed to the Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. And if you're a local business or organization and you'd like to promote yourself on this show, just send us an email, inlandsportsshow@gmail.com. The show starts right now. Garcia's left footed. And welcome everyone to the Inland Sports Show. We are live and amplified here at Teen Vision TV 16. My name is Pep Fernandez. We got Johnny Nunez behind the scenes directing tonight's program, and we got a great show for you. A little bit later, we'll talk a lot of high school football. We will preview the upcoming matchups coming up in week number 4. We got San Gorgonio head coach Chris Chaddick. He will join us, and we'll talk some college basketball, which is right around the corner now. UC Riverside men's basketball coach Mike Magpayo will join us on the show. He just returned from the Philippines, went out there, a little bit of fun, a little bit of business, hanging out with Miami Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra as well. So we'll talk to Coach Magpayo. We got Coach Chaddick, a lot of high school football still to go. But we're leading things off tonight with Great Oak Girls Golf. Join us here on the program, the head coach of the Wolfpack, Rachel Reif. And Coach Reif, first off, thank you for jumping on the show. We really do appreciate it. When you look at the Southwestern League as a whole, is there another league that's better? Because I feel like top to bottom, great golfers, great coaches, great programs who have sustained a lot of success over a lot of years.
You know, we have, Pep, first of all, thanks for having me on. You know, in our area, I think, you know, we have extremely a strong league. We kind of always have been you do those little dips, but we've still been, you know, strong across the board. Certainly, you know, you talk San Diego leagues, we talk some of the leagues up in Orange County or out in the desert, you know, that are part of it. They kind of mix things up a little bit CIF-wise this year as far as regions, putting you in a different region to try to have that balance. But you know, we've been very, very lucky to, you know, being just always in an extremely challenging league.
Now, Coach, as we record this interview, you're going into, you know, league dual action. I think you got Vista Murrieta this week. I know you guys were so close to having a piece of that Southwestern League title from a year ago. How important is every single league match this season?
No, it is. You cannot stumble. We open up actually tomorrow with Merida Valley at Bear Creek. So, you know, their greens are always so extremely tough. And then we've got Vista at home on Thursday. So, you know, we start out of the league, you know, bang, bang. You know, I mean, realistically, there's always been really kind of 4 of us shooting, you know, at it. 3 for sure. You add a 4th one this year. And then, you know, there's a couple players from Mesa as well. So, you know, knowing that, you know, we did drop an individual player. Lauren Salmon's we've been kind of riding her back a little bit all last year. Team strength wise, we were just okay. But individuals, you know, she kind of wrote us. So, but we still, you know, instead of having 9 go individually, we have those 8. We have 8 go, and I couldn't tell you who those 8 are. I really couldn't. It's really going to come down to obviously what we do in play, and then that league final, and then you know, as coaches, we give ourselves and our teams opportunities by playing, you know, other coaches, other leagues, other teams, other courses. Just to prep us and get us ready for league finals. We know it's Menifee Lakes. Ryan secured that last week. So we were told about that. And then making sure, you know, these kids have an opportunity to play it. They'll go play it on their own. And then just taking care of business at home with our league. And that's a feat in itself for sure.
All right, taking care of business in your own league. How was it, you know, beating Palm Desert? You talked about some of those desert schools have great programs as well. You know, coming off that victory against the Aztecs, do you think that kind of maybe built some confidence, maybe some momentum for your team going into Southwestern League action?
No, absolutely. You know, we started off, and I'm kind of, you know, crazy having the schedule, but, you know, we started off with Torrey Pines, home and away. We got Walnut, we got Diamond Bar. You know, we got big shooters out of the gate. But it just lets the kids know, here's who you have to play against, so, you'll have the competition, you'll get going. Palm Desert is certainly talented as well. And I think we snuck one through there just because it's our home course. But, on a given day, just like anything else, I mean, you're going to have to score 5 and still have that 6 come in is pretty solid. So, for us, we've got probably a really strong 1 through 4. And then our 5 and 6, realistically, we've probably got 8 kids. And this is the deepest I've ever been. We've got 8 kids vying for 2 spots. So, and they differ between 3 strokes. So, I'm pretty fired up of where we are in depth. As far as this year, I've kept 23. I never keep that many, but, even though we've got a couple beginning golfers, I added a new guy, new volunteers. So we've got 2 volunteers, 2 coaches. So we got a lot of bodies out here. But, if they get the bug and they continue to play, it really shows a year later. I'll have a senior come out and hasn't made the varsity team yet. And she just got her letter because, she scored in 3, but she's made that commitment for the last 2 years on a newer golfer to come in and play, and drop her strokes. So, that's huge. So, we look at that as a whole picture, as we grow our team. Yes, I do have a varsity JV and a developmental. I kind of have 3, but to vie into those 6 spots, it's tough. It really is. You have to be able to play, and you have to be able to play year round.
Well, Coach, you just touched on it. It's a perfect segue into the next question was, what do you think the strength of the Wolfpack is this season? It sounds like depth. It sounds like there's a bunch of girls within a couple strokes of one another. So is that exciting, especially, playing a practice round, just seeing, competition breeds better golfers, like they're going to battle and make each other better in the long run?
It's funny you mentioned that. That's the one thing my coach and I would talk about. We can put a practice scenario out there. We can get them out on the course. But competition is that thing that is difficult to recreate in a practice scenario. So for us, it is nice to have realistically the 6 and the 8. We've got 14 kids that can play, and it's 12. I'm sorry, we got 12 kids that are going to vie for it. Now we drop off probably about 4.5 strokes from our 4 to our 5 player, but depth is the name of the game. And we'll play schools that'll be like crazy 1, 2, 3, +2 plus 1.
Yeah.
But then they drop off, when you talk 4, 5, and 6. So, that certainly is going to go in our favor.
And finally, Coach, let's do a little name dropping. We love to, mention the high school athletes here on the show as well. So I know you've got a pair of great seniors kind of leading the way, but do a little name dropping. Who's going to be leading the Great Oak Wolfpack girls golf team this season?
Absolutely. We've got in our one spot right now, and I keep weekly, daily stats. Jessica Lee was with us as a freshman. She shot +2. She's back at probably a +1. Didn't play last year, and then is back this year. In the 2 spot, I've got a freshman, and Jessica's a junior. In the 2 spot, I've got a freshman, Skylar Earl. She came in, and we knew we were going to get her. We've seen her since she's about a 5th grader, so we knew we were going to get her eventually. So we finally got her this year, which is huge. She's like +2 right now. And then I've got my 2 lockdown seniors that have been in my program from start to finish, Brooke Carpenter and Gwyneth Dempsey. Again, these let's see, Brookie's probably like 38, and Gwenny's probably 39.5, 40. So they're par 40, which is good. Right. And then we drop off about 4 strokes. And then, gosh, I've got the Carpenter connection. So Kimmy Carpenter is Brookie's sister. And then we got Madison Murakami. We got Madison Payne. We got Drew Brown has made her way in. We have another freshman, Marissa Alvarez, who was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't know she was coming. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what I'm saying. So it makes it nice. So those 4, our big 4 are Jessica, Skylar, Brooke, and Gwen. And those guys have been solid for us, without waiver. Jessica and Skylar we have contests. So every time we go out somewhere, coming back, you get to buy lunch or dinner. So the rule is, it's either the least amount of putts, the most amount of fairways, one of the 2 is a tiebreaker, or on greens to regulation. So we have a little inside competition each time we go out, and typically we haven't veered off from Chick-fil-A, so that's our stop.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you have a nice blend of, leadership, experience, and also some up-and-coming talent on this Great Oak Wolfpack team. Coach, best of luck this week. I know you got a couple big matches in Southwestern League play. We appreciate you taking the time. I know it's picture day, so we're going to let you run off and join your team.
Awesome. Pep, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And go Wolfpack.
You got it. That is Coach Rachel Reif here on the Inland Sports Show. Thanks so much, Coach. And you can log off Zoom. You don't have to hang on. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to take our first commercial break of the night here on the show. When we come back, a lot of high school football. Joining us here on the program, San Gorgonio head coach Chris Chaddick. The Spartans are 4-0 right now on the season with a huge game coming up this week. We'll be back on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets.
I think you
Boost
logged out.
Performance training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
What up, y'all? Boostman here with a quick 2 cent. Student athletes, during competition, things will always happen that's out of your control. That's why the best athletes are the ones with short memories. Whether it's a bad call by the ref, a questionable play by your coach, or a missed opportunity, whining about it will never solve anything. The ability to move on to the next play after something doesn't go your way is a skill that all great competitors share. So many times it's not just about what you do during competition, it's about how you respond. Boostman.
The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
Welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. A big shout out and thanks to Coach Reif, talking Great Oak girls golf here. Big week down there in the Southwestern League. Now we're going to talk some high school football. In a moment, we're going to have Chris Chaddick, the head football coach for San Gorgonio. But first, the Kin Sporting Goods must-see game. I know Coach already knows all about this. It's a big one here in the IE. San G will put its undefeated record on the line against a very stiff test in the Liberty Bison, and the Bison will be angry coming off their first loss of the year on the road at Del Norte down in San Diego County. And this should be a good one. It's the Kin Sporting Goods must-see game, San G at Liberty, coming up here in week number 4. Perfect segue, because now joining us here on the show, he is the head coach. He's back home at San Gorgonio. Head coach Chris Chaddick of the Spartans. And Coach, listen, No slight to anyone else you've played this season, but I knew, you don't have to say it, but I knew, like, going into this year, Liberty would be your toughest non-league test to get you ready for league action. Now that you're here, now that you're 4-0, kind of summarize the last 4 games for San G, because, you know, you guys are undefeated. I don't know if that maybe surpasses even your own expectations for this squad.
Oh, well, you know, we had expectations to win as much as possible, and, did it surprise me? Yes. But did I expect it? Absolutely. Because the talent has always been here, and I have big expectations to, perform with craft, perform with work, and with hope. And these guys are doing every day, every week, every practice, every game. They do something new to surprise, and they're bought in. They're creating an identity. And, they're just getting better and better every week. So, with these guys win it as long as they just pay attention to detail and do what they have to do.
Well, Coach, I guess I buried the lead. I should have asked you this first, but the beard. How long have you been growing the beard? How long is it going to go for? You're not going to touch it, like, until you guys get to the CIF championship game? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, no touching the beard. I started growing the beard during week 1. I was going to shave it off like week 0, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to grow it. I'm going to see what happens. Maybe I could get it like scanned off by the playoff. We'll see.
Well, Coach, I mean, so far so good, obviously, at 4-0, but going into this Liberty game, are you excited just to see how your team responds? Because obviously Liberty's one of the top teams, and I know they're still a young program, but they've emerged as one of the top programs in the area. Are you excited to see how your team responds and where you kind of maybe stack up with some of the, better programs in the inland sports coverage area?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you get to go against the coach team, I mean, you got to get juiced up for that. That guy's a legend in the area. That guy takes care of his business. Every team he's coached has success, and you got to bring your A game. He's a coach that I look up to, and from far, even though I don't know him a great deal, I admire what he's done with his program. And my hope is that I can someday be, considered a coach type guy. So, if you want to be the best, you got to compete against that. I think we're going to try to go on the reason.
Coach Chaddick, I don't know if you know Coach Broach, former Heritage guy, and he's at Liberty now, and the Bison head coach Adam Contreras. But on a personal level, I think you'd actually like them because you and I are tight off the field. I think you would be tight with them as well. They're good dudes. So I don't know if you know them that well, but maybe talk to them a little bit before your game this week.
Yeah, I'd like to meet up with them. I've been rooting for them every week except for this week. So once the season's done, I'll pick those guys' brains. They do a great job.
Coach, if you had to pick a bright spot, where do you think the bright spot has been through the first 4 games? I know, you're coming off a shutout against Citrus Hill. You're putting up a lot of points. I mean, there's probably a lot to pick from, but what has been maybe a pleasant surprise or a bright spot for you through the first 4 games?
Well, I'm going to say defense. As a defensive coach, this team gave up 48.9 points a game last year. And we've had 3 defensive shutouts. Like Merino Valley Canyon Springs actually scored, and a 6-6, and they scored on a pick six, and they scored on a safety. So they actually didn't score on us defensively. And we've had 2 other shutouts. And I have a thing for the kids. If they pitch a donut, I buy them donuts. So they're going to get me broke buying them 4 dozen donuts every week. So, that's been the biggest surprise. The offense I knew was going to be what it was because great quarterback and, Peyton Clark, great skill guys. And, we got Cisco that's playing and, Jaden Sawyer and Jaden and a couple other guys, you type a J out there. We got some guys that are just playing good ball. Dylan Carolina, he's been a beast on both sides. We got guys doing their thing and they're buying in and, the talent was here. It's just, they bought in and they believe in the old standard. We're giving.
All right, and finally, Coach, going into this matchup with the Bison, what do you think? I know it's a tough road test, but what do you think you guys have to do well? What do you have to do take care of on your side of the football to feel like you're going to give your team a chance to win?
We can play great defense. I mean, that's the first thing. Those guys are just huge up front. They got a lot of size. They got a lot of speed. So the big thing that we have to do is be able to make sure we can get a couple stops. And then when we get those stops, we got to make sure we score. Because this could come down to not based on our defense, our offense, and their offense. I mean, these guys are awesome. I'm not going to take them lightly. They're great. We're watching a lot of. We're about to watch film on them right now. It's good. These guys just handle their business and they, go about it in a blue collar kind of way. They do what they do. They're going to run it up your throat, and when you load the box too much, they're going to throw a little bit of play action at you. And rally the ball on defense. And you know what? We're going to do the same. We're going to play hard-nosed defense, rally to that ball. We're going to try our best to put up points. And, we're playing with house money here. Nobody expected us to be here. And, like we beat Liberty, that just sends a message. If we compete with Liberty, that sends a message. We're going to see what happens and let the, cards play out and see what happens. And I'm truly excited for this game because they're a top 10 program in this inland area, and that's how you test them. Yeah. We could go on and play a bunch of teams, and like we use the children of flying, but you got to see what they're all about eventually one day. And, this is our time to find out. Mm-hmm. Our time to find out.
Well, no doubt, Coach, win or lose, you guys are going to be a better team forward as you get ready for league play right after that big showdown with Liberty. Coach, always appreciate the time. Always love catching up with you, and good luck this week against the Bison.
Yes, sir. Thank you for all you do for inland sports. We appreciate it.
You got it, Coach. That is Chris Chaddick, the head football coach at San Gorgonio. Thank you so much, Coach. You don't have to stay on Zoom. You can bounce. I appreciate it. Always appreciate the time. He always makes time for us, and we do appreciate it. And speaking of San G, and he's talking about some of his guys like Dylan Carolina, let's announce, and you've probably already seen it on social media, the Inland Sports Week 3 All-Stars. And Dylan Carolina is on the list. We'll go from top to bottom. How about Jesse Vega, the quarterback for Summit? Had a big game, helping them get a big win. Had 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. Isaiah Lopez for Cardinal City, running all over the place. Over 300 all-purpose yards, 4 touchdowns. Blake Lowe, a monster at Chaparral, caught a couple touchdowns, picked one off and went 80 yards back the other way for a score. We also had Xavier Oliver for Grand Terrace. Only needed 8 carries to go for 139 and 2 touchdowns in a big win against Patriot. And finally, Dylan Carolina, almost 150 rushing yards, a couple touchdowns. Also had an interception on defense as Sanjay picked off Citrus Hill 5 times in that game. And that is your Inland Sports All-Stars here on the Inland Sports Show. All right, when we come back here on the show, we are going to check in with UC Riverside men's basketball coach Mike Magpayo. That's next here on the Inland Sports Show.
Hey guys, this is Jason at Ken Sporting Goods. We're almost to 1,000 Instagram followers. Tell your friends, like us, come down, see us. Thank you so much for your loyalty.
Well, we are back. We're here at the Boost Performance Center with the one and only, you know this guy, it's the Boost Man, Coach Ray Bass, with another gridiron question. And Coach Bass, this week, we want to know, is there a game plan? Is there a blueprint out there for parents so they can have guaranteed success for their kids? Does that exist?
Unfortunately, no. And I think I've mentioned that before. There is no game plan. There is no blueprint that guarantees success. But my two pieces of advice for parents who are looking to get the most out of their kids' athletic development is let your kids be kids. The last thing you want to do is to burn your kid out by the constant pressure of performance. B, I'd say and this is hard, you want to put your kids in positions where they have to face failure or adversity. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the amount of growth that happens when your back is against the wall is immeasurable. And that growth is going to happen no matter the outcome. So my two keys here for parents looking to get the most out of their kids' athletic development is let the kids be kids, obviously, and then B, put them in positions to face adversity and face failure.
Well, parents, I hope you're listening out there. This is some good stuff right here from the Boost Man, Coach Ray Bass. If you've got a question for a future Gridiron segment, make sure you hit us up in our DMs all over Boost Training on social media. For the Boost Man, Ray Bass, I'm Pep Fernandez. We'll see you next time. And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kids Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody, live and amplified at Teen Vision TV 16. A big thanks to Chris Chaddick, the head football coach at San Gorgonio. Huge game coming up this week for San G. But now we're going to pivot and talk some college basketball, man. The college basketball season will be here before you know it as we zoom through the month of September. Joining us here on the program right now, he is the reigning Big West Conference Coach of the Year, UC Riverside's Mike Magpayo. Coach, man, always appreciate the time. Being the conference coach of the year, like sometimes you just sit back and you're like, man, I'm living the dream. Like, could it get any better than this?
I am living the dream. I really am living my dream. Being a Division I head coach here in Southern California in the Big West Conference at a UC. It's great. My family and I talk about it all the time. We try to remind each other when we're chasing around our two young ones that we are super, super blessed. So yes, you are right. I am living a dream right now.
Coach, I called UCR basketball games for, 3 or 4 seasons with the Big Jeezy, Jeff Gorham, and we traveled all around. And, when Jeff and I were calling games, UCR was just trying to stay in the middle of the pack of the Big West Conference and, trying to stay above 500. And, and your boy DP, David Patrick burst onto the scene and took him to another level. And then you took what he was doing and you took it to another level. And now you guys are being mentioned in, in terms of Big West Conference titles and maybe even punching your ticket to the NCAA tournament, hopefully sometime soon. Where do you see the program right now? Are you happy where it's at? And do you feel like, man, there is still room to grow for the Highlanders?
Yeah, we're in growth mode right now for sure. That's just, I think it comes from the top, our athletic department and our athletic director. He's a high energy guy, Wes Smollett. He's dynamic, and I think he's got us all charging ahead, moving in the right direction. The train is definitely moving. We definitely feel it here in men's basketball. I think that, with that, one of my first talks with the guys last week is there's expectations and there's pressure to that. So, doesn't change anything that we do, but it definitely puts a little more purpose in our every day that we're working, that we got to, deliver. And it's good. I told the guys that we recruit guys that are ready for this pressure cooker. This is why you guys came here to compete for Big West championships. And so, we haven't done it yet. I thought last year, it was a really, really tough semifinal game against UC Santa Barbara, and we thought we had as good a chance as any. But I was proud of the guys. I think we went out swinging, and we were growing even towards the end of that last season. And hopefully we can do more of the same this year.
Now, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw on social media you've got the players back on campus, right? Like school's back in session, the guys are back on campus. Are you practicing? Are you getting ready for that first game now?
Yeah, we're a little different. We're not back in school. Our classes don't start till September 27th, but we had our guys came back Labor Day, and this is our second week of work. So yes, we are full go. Working and lifting and all that good stuff.
So, Coach, here we are. Like you said, it's full go. But before you went full go, you had a chance to go to the Philippines. Was this, and I saw some of the pictures on social media as well, was this for fun, family, business, maybe a mixture of all of those things?
Yeah, it was all three. First off, I wanted to go watch Flynn Cameron, our former player, play for New Zealand. They were in the World Cup, and they happened to be in Team USA's group, which was going to be an exciting first game. They were opening with Team USA. And then it just so happened my parents were going to be out there. They usually spend about a month or 2 months out there every year. And so I was able to fly out there with them and spend a lot of time with my mom and dad, which was, really valuable. I've only been there twice. To the Philippines, and then got to, like you said, the professional part was hang out with a bunch of coaches, national team coaches, Team Philippines. Coach Spoelstra was there as an assistant coach, and with Team USA, hung out with him and Mark Few from Gonzaga, who were both assistants for Steve Kerr. And that was really cool for me to just kind of get to know Coach Spo. We hung out had about 4 meals together and just talked hoops and talked life, and kind of just see his approach to his work was really cool. And then, of course, to see Flynn compete out there, and it was a tough first game against Team USA. They took their lumps, but they bounced back and beat Jordan. And so it was a lot of fun for me and my family to go to those games and cheer Flynn on, and then hang out with a bunch of coaches.
Well, Coach Magpayo, I think our director, Johnny, he might have at least one of those pictures with you and Coach Spoelstra. And I know you guys, you share those Filipino roots. There was one of those pictures right there. What was it like just being able to pick his brain maybe a little bit and maybe open your eyes to some things in terms of, coaching hoops?
Yeah, we've known each other now for 3 years. When I got the job 3 years ago, I got a random text message from a 305 number, and it just happened to be Coach Spo. And over those 3 years, we've gotten to know each other more. And he came to an Asian coaches event, but we haven't really hung out in person. So this was really cool to just be around him. And I told my staff, we talked more on the phone about hoops, but when in person, it wasn't so much just like he's saying these brilliant giving these basketball ideas, but just kind of seeing that it is a way of life for him. And even Coach Few, they are just obviously there. They're away from their families for 6 weeks, and they do it because they just love basketball. They love what they do. And it's no surprise. What I left with was you get to the top of your profession, like Mark Few or Erik Spoelstra. It's no surprise why. They obviously are just completely obsessed with perfecting their craft, learning from each other. Hearing them talk about the Team USA at the time at the World Cup was just really cool. Just kind of being a fly on the wall and sitting there chatting, but also just great people. Coach Spoelstra in the Philippines is a superstar. I mean, there's 15 Filipinos chasing him everywhere we go, on the streets. It was pretty crazy to see, yet he's as humble as they come, and he really just lives his life with this humility that's pretty impressive for a guy that's making $8 million a year.
Coach Magpayo, please correct me if I'm wrong, but basketball in the Philippines is huge, right? Like, they are rabid basketball fans over there.
Yeah, it's the national sport. I mean, I think Manny Pacquiao and boxing obviously have taken that to a whole nother level as well. But basketball, I mean, you can't drive. First of all, you can't drive 2 blocks. It takes an hour. I mean, it's ridiculous, the traffic. But that's the only thing. That's the only bad thing about Manila. Like, Coach Spoelstra's and my hotels were 3 miles away from each other, and it would take me an hour to get there. But But you can't drive anywhere without seeing people playing basketball, kids barefoot playing on the streets. It is the national sport, and there is a huge passion and love for it. And it was really cool. Jordan Clarkson represented the Philippines. He's half Filipino for the first time. So it was one of the first times they've had an NBA player playing alongside of them. And then they got one win. They got a big win against China, but they had a tough time. But no, it was amazing. Like I said, Coach Spoelstra was a superstar. Everywhere we'd go, he was literally trying to like hustle. He had 2 bodyguards with him because he was like, he was a superstar out there. People were just chasing him, trying to take selfies, including my mom, who, if you go to my social media, there's a great video of my mom getting his attention at the game. And he did come up and take a picture, but she was just as big a fan as everybody else.
Well, Coach, speaking of your mom, I actually wanted to ask you about your dad. I didn't have this written down to ask you during the show, but I'm going to do it anyways. Your dad, I saw you posted something about an Emmy Award. He's like a video editor, and he won an Emmy, something with college basketball. Was it March Madness? What was that?
Yeah, 1983. My dad, that's what he did growing up, and I think that's where the love for me for college basketball came from. But my dad worked for CBS Sports his whole career, and he was a video engineer, video editor. And so 1983, when Phi Slamma Jamma, the University of Houston was supposed to smack NC State and Jim Valvano and Jim Valvano's NC State crew, upset them on that amazing buzzer beater at the rim, the air ball that turned into an alley-oop, and Jim Valvano, he goes nuts, and it was an amazing championship for NC State. And they had the best, at the time, it wasn't one shining moment. It was just whatever song they chose. And I think there was a Christopher Cross song they chose. But they won the best video montage for that year. So there was an Emmy in my dad's house that, trust me, we show to everybody that comes by. But my dad, he had a great career. He did, and CBS Sports had everything. They had NFL, NBA, and college basketball at the time. They still have college basketball along with TNT and whatnot. But that's how I grew up. Unfortunately, when I started getting older, he stopped because he didn't want to travel as much. But all of my uncles and older cousins got to go to all these great games, whether it was like the Lakers or the 49ers. So he had a really great career, and he does have an Emmy Award. It's pretty awesome.
That is really, really awesome. And Coach, finally, going back to you're just hanging out with Coach Spoelstra and Coach Mark Few from Gonzaga. Talking with those guys, does it kind of reinforce some of the things that you feel like you're doing well at UC Riverside? Like, you know what? We're on the right track. We're doing the right thing. The wins are already coming. We feel like we can take that next jump. Does it kind of reinforce talking to those kind of guys that what you're doing at UCR is working?
I think so. I sat down, and actually it was our last dinner of the trip, and Coach Spoelstra was like, "Hey, can I bring Sean Ford, who's the director of Team USA, and Mark Few?" And I was like, "Yes, that'd be great." Great. So, and I had never met Coach Few before. We played against him when I was at the University of San Francisco, but he came down and he immediately complimented, UC Riverside and our program. And I was like, "Oh no, thanks, Coach." He's like, "No, seriously, like what you guys have done there is great." But the culture part, just hearing Coach Spoelstra, I heard him say it a bunch of times, like he's our kind of guy, or he was really bummed that the Miami Heat didn't have Austin Reeves. And I was like, "Oh, did you guys have a chance to sign him this year?" And he's like, "No, I'm talking about like on the draft. That's usually a guy that the Miami Heat, he's our kind of guy that we would identify and find a way to get him into our organization." And just hearing him talk about Jaquez and like how oh no, he's already strong, but he's just gonna get better in our culture. So, and you hear about that all the time. And then of course Mark Few, what he's built there. And Coach Few, he didn't know that about 13 years ago, before I started working in college basketball, I had a whole 4-hour night with him and his staff. He was reminded at the blackjack table at the Bellagio, I played with the whole Gonzaga staff. And he didn't, I was a nobody. I was just, but he told me his story back then. I reminded him, he's like, "Oh, no way." And he's like, "And you had your girlfriend?" I was like, yeah, my girlfriend was there. We were all gambled because we were all winning for 4 hours. But all I took away was definitely culture. And it's not that easy, of course, to build a culture and you're hoping, but they recruit their kinds of guys and they are willing to sacrifice if those guys aren't the right kind of guys. And that's definitely how we built it here and started with Coach Patrick, and it's how we've continued to do it here I won't sacrifice the culture and bring in great character guys. We try really, really hard to, and so far, knock on wood. And again, just being around these guys this summer, and again, for the first 2 weeks, they're really fun to coach. And so that always tells me I'm having a lot of fun out there already in day 5, we said today. And so it's I lean that way, and I can sleep better at night having these great dudes, and they tend to get better in our program too.
You said sleep better at night. You got some little kids at home though. You're probably not sleeping very much at all, I would guess.
Well, actually, today I told my wife, okay, I got to sub in. I got to tag in. She's been like a beast. Because on my excuse, I'm back. I gotta give her some. She lets me sleep a little more than she does. So I gotta tag back in. Actually, it's tomorrow morning is my shift. So to be fair, she's the one. Caroline is the hero of the family.
Yep, there's always a hero behind the scenes making it happen, especially for a college basketball coach like yourself who goes nonstop. Coach, listen, I always appreciate the time. I love catching up with you. I love chatting with you, and hopefully we can do this again real soon as we get closer to that first game of the season in November.
Absolutely. In a couple of weeks, I'll know more about our team, and let's absolutely do it again.
You got it. That is Mike Magpayo, the head basketball coach for UC Riverside here on the Inland Sports Show. Thank you so much, Coach. We're going to take one more quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of those big matchups coming up in week 4 of the high school football season. We'll be right back.
What up, y'all? Boostman here with a quick 2 cent. Parents, there's no better place for kids to learn how to control their emotions than through sports. There's nothing wrong with competing with emotion. The key is how we use them. Channeling your emotions to work harder, focus more, and compete with intensity is encouraged. But when emotions lead to negative outcomes, this can be detrimental to athletes. That's why it's important that parents model emotional control for their kids. Screaming and arguing with refs, blaming coaches, or getting worked up at other kids on the field are terrible examples of emotional control. So if you want your athlete to keep their emotions in check, be the example. Boostman.
The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
Inland Sports. I just have that feeling that the Chargers just can't get over the hump for some reason.
Yeah, they just kind of got that stigma at this point, right? They're always good, and you always got some expectations they're going to make the playoffs or they're going to make a playoff run, and it just never happens. I just feel like this Chargers team is going to be that kind of that cookie cutter. It's going to be the same thing year after year. This year will be the same. But I do want to give a quick shout out to our guy Jalen Phillips, the pride of Redlands East Valley High School. He had a monster game, including in the sack on 4th down to end the game, to officially put the nail, in the coffin for the Chargers. The Pac-12, man, really holding it down early on in this college football season. There are 8 teams from the Pac-12 currently ranked in the AP Top 25 poll, of course led by USC. I think they came in at number 5 last night in the latest poll. UCLA's in there. Colorado, Coach Prime is in there, and the Colorado Buffaloes, and Washington State as well, man. Pac-12 strong this year.
Inland Sports. Hanging out with my boy Patrick in the morning on KCAL 96.7 FM every Monday and Thursday, talking sports. All right, before we wrap up this show, more high school football to get you all ready for another big week of high school football games. Before we actually jump into week 4, let's take a look at the big boost play of the week from week number 3. Man, it was a good one, and it was a game that was live right here on Teen Vision TV 16. It was San Jacinto trailing Rancho Verde 3-zip. When Oregon Ducks commit Dylan Gresham makes the one-handed grab for the touchdown for San Jacinto. So we're going to slow it down. We're going to zoom in a little bit and check out Dylan Gresham making a great catch. San Jacinto would go on to the win, 21-16, the final score for their first win of the year. Rancho Verde would drop to 3-1. It was a great game. Again, you can find that entire game on Teen Vision TV 16. There's Dylan Gresham with the score and the one-handed grab. He's taking his talents to the University of Oregon. That's the big boost play of the week. All right, that'll lead us into the the Boost Top 25 poll after week 3. And I'll preface it by saying this. People are saying Paloma Valley should be in the rankings. Ramona should be in the rankings. Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong, but here's the problem. And follow me for a second. Paloma Valley lost to Kaiser. Kaiser lost to Ramona. Ramona lost to King and JW North. So already, just a couple weeks into the season, we're getting into this kind of this messy quagmire of who's going to leap over the next team, but they take turns beating each other up, so it's hard to figure out. So I will say this, the bubble teams right now, San Gorgonio, Rancho Christian, right on the outside looking in. They could enter the top 25 as early as next week. Well, San G certainly would if they could knock off Liberty. So with that said, Johnny, let's do this. Let's take a look at the Boost Top 25 poll. Just wanted to preface it, put that out there before we take a look. Centennial still at number 1 after losing to Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, the number 2 team in the country. Cajon improves to 3-0 after beating Aquinas and a couple Big West Conference schools there, Chaparral, Murrieta Valley, Vista Murrieta, Roosevelt. Citrus Valley almost beat Oak Hills. They're at 1-2, but still very, very good. They come in at number 7. Followed by Beaumont, who's at 4-0. Big win on the road in Dixie, Utah this past week. Orange Vista in at number 9, and there's Liberty at 10. On the other side, Yucaipa's in at number 11 at 4-0. After that, it starts getting messy. It's hard to predict some of these rankings here, but if you work your way down the list just a little bit, Eisenhower continues to rise. They are 4-0. They've got a big game coming up against Elsinore. In Elsinore, you'll find it number 23. So that's one of the better games that's looming out there in non-league action. So keep an eye on that one. Welcome to the top 25, Tuckwitz. They come in at number 24. The Titans are at 4-0 on the season. And Grand Terrace squeezes back into the top 25 at 25. But again, a couple of those teams on the outside looking in, but they're very, very, very close. San Gorgonio, Rancho Christian, Jurupa Hills, and Murrieta Mesa are still trying to get their first wins of the season, but they're both very good. They just play tough teams. They just don't have any wins to show for it yet. They're on the outside looking in, but very close, you can imagine. And again, North, Ramona, Kaiser, Paloma Valley. That is hard to figure out because it's like a cycle where they all kind of beat each other, and it's hard to figure out who's going to emerge from that little pack right there to jump back into the top 25. All right, now let's take a look at the big matchups coming up this week. We showed you the Ken Sporting Goods must-see game, San G and Liberty, but here's a couple other big ones coming up in week number 4. We got Redlands East Valley taking on Rim of the World. Ramona versus Riverside Poly. That's going to be on Riverside TV. That's the Solar Series game. King, Thursday night at Murrieta Valley. Citrus Valley will take on Norco, 2 teams probably a lot better than what their records indicate right now. Both teams with just one win on the season. Elsinore versus Eisenhower. So if San G and Liberty was not the Kent Sporting Goods must-see game this week, it was going to be this one. I'll tell you right now, Elsinore and Eisenhower, that is going to be a battle. Colton against San Bernardino, that's the Sean Collins Bowl. It's Coach Collins now at San Bernardino, goes up against his former team. And Great Oak against Chaparral. I don't know if there's a city championship that means more than Temecula. They love their city title. Great Oak, Chaparral, and Temecula Valley battling for the city championship. Chaparral beat Temecula Valley last week. The Pumas now trying to do the same against Great Oak and win that city championship. All right, right now we want to take a look at the I Am Gifted Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Alexander Mattison, as he highlights and celebrates athletes from the city of San Bernardino, his hometown. So without further ado, Minnesota Vikings running back and former San Bernardino high school football star, Alexander Mattison.
Hey, what's up? It's Alexander Mattison, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. And week 2, I Am Gifted Female Athlete of the Week goes to Carlicia Haley, quarterback of the Indian Springs girls flag football team, who threw 4 touchdowns, caught a touchdown, and also got an interception on defense as she plays safety as well. Indian Springs went on to beat Moville 20-12 and 31-0 with more than 200 yards passing and more than 100 yards rushing in a doubleheader sweep of Moreno Valley. Congratulations, Carlicia. And week 2, I Am Gifted Male Athlete of the Week goes to Dylan Carolina from San Gorgonio High School, who plays running back and linebacker and had 149 rush yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and an interception to help San G improve to 4-0 on the season and beat Citrus Hill 34-0. Congratulations, Dylan.
And another big week of high school football. 2 more weeks, technically, of non-league action, and then it's right into league play. So it's getting juicy around here. Big thanks to our shout out to our director, Johnny Nunez, behind the scenes here at Teen Vision TV 16. And a shout out and a big thanks to all of our guests tonight. We had Rachel Reif, head girls golf coach at Great Oak, Chris Chaddick, football at San Gorgonio, and you just saw Coach Magpayo from UCR. My name is Pep Fernandez. God bless you guys. Stay safe. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next week on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.